Looking really good. All right, CE going for map pick number 2 as well, Tetcher. And we're going over to the Infernal Shrines. And we mentioned, you know, map pressure in the late game being a little savage and brutal on Sky Temple. I think on Infernal Shrines, you can stabilize a lot more simply because the Infernal Punishers can actually be kited. They don't hit as hard in the early game, so it's a little less snowbally than I would say in general on Sky Temple.
Very true. I would be one to agree with you here. But for now, we are heading into that Infernal Shrines. Let's see how this triple ban phase is affected on this significantly different map.
Yeah, it's very different, and I quite like it, to be honest. I'm still waiting to see more Braxis holdout, of course, because I think we've had amazing games in the HGC channel there. And if this patch is live, Tetcher, with 3 bans, with Rainer upgrades and reworks, etc., it should be the time of the new Braxis too. So, you know, the beacons now being easier to capture or at least contest. And then we should also have stronger 0% Zerg waves, for example.
Very true. Now, one thing I am going to say by Rainer, other than that, is the new Alexstrasza is also now a thing. And with that being an option, it actually opened... I mean, for starters, the Dragon Queen is really good. Cleansing Flame is really good.
Yeah.
But the new Alexstrasza is very scary, honestly. The new Lifebinder makes her so good as a empowerer for a hyper carry. Like, I think Alexstrasza might be the new hyper carry support.
All right, let's see if that will see any play today. I certainly agree with you. The new Lifebinder looks much better than before. I've already had my fair share of Team League games with Alexstrasza, Lifebinder, and Cho'Gall. It felt absolutely amazing. Let me tell you this. But, of course, Team League is very different from pro play. So let's see if Cleansing Flame will remain the go-to or if we're going to see a sneaky Lifebinder here and there. For now, though,
Ban phase evolving.
Ban phase has evolved indeed. No longer are we seeing all the assassins, but a Diablo coming through.
With Diablo removed, that is very much a target onto Kaito, who has been playing the hero almost religiously. Speaking of religion, Yrel.
Oh boy, have you read the new book?
It says you're a heretic. That's all the book says. That's all that's inside it. But right now, oh dear, it's the Book of Hammer. Too many books. Yrel's very well read.
All right, then we see the Decker Cane come in. I mean, I would have actually maybe expected a hammer, to be honest. I think a hammer by CE could have definitely been something they bust out. They can still, of course, bust out the hammer. They did so yesterday as well with that Decker Cane. And I'm not sure if A-Team plays it themselves to maybe steal it away. I mean, Infernal Shrines is a pretty okay map for a Sergeant Hammer. Definitely one of the better ones. Simply because she has such good range to basically dominate. And there we go. Tetcher Alexstrasza has been picked. Now, this has been a classic China pick for a long period of time. Basically, at the mid-season brawl, we saw teams like CE, most importantly, 365, him playing that hero over and over again. And although the Chinese teams, as we all know, didn't do particularly well at the mid-season brawl, some of the other teams copied that style in terms of Alexstrasza and the high priority of that hero, especially in maps like Infernal.
Indeed they did, and for good reason. Dragon Queen on this map is such good area control. Speaking of area control, Jaina is banned out. And we also see Malthael removed because he is one of the few heroes who can actually solo lane versus Yrel and win. True. Even Thrall, who's always been like the lane equalizer. Just, I'm going to zap from range and there's nothing you can do about it. He gets wrecked by a good Yrel. As we see instead Blaze. Blaze is now the equalizer because doesn't matter how much damage Yrel could do, Blaze could sustain and re-heal up most of it.
Yeah, that should be a very even matchup in which both warriors will fail to kill one another. So Blaze has outstanding self-sustain, so does Yrel. So unless there are any ganks going down, this should be a 50-50 for the most part. But in terms of raw team fighting, of course, Blaze adds so much, right? With that bunker play, you can always bait enemy cooldowns, enemy abilities into it, only to just hop into the bunker and be safe. It also works as a pseudo cleanse, if you will. Poison abilities and certain other things, they will get cleansed off after leaving the bunker. And there is the Sergeant Hammer, as we talked about it. And that's really cool to see by CE, to be honest.
I completely agreed with you when you said it would be picked, but the second I saw this Garrosh as well, I was very sure behind it. Johanna would have been the other option. As long as they went for one of those two, I would be pretty happy. But the composition they're up against has a fair amount of dive, so Garrosh actually makes a little bit more sense than Johanna. Because Muradin could jump in, Yrel could jump in. What's Johanna going to do? Single condemn, and then it's up to Hammer. What makes more sense is a Garrosh. So even if you're not using him for engage, a lesser used tool of his is the exact same tool for disengage. Muradin jumps in. No, you stay at range, good sir, and just throw him back out again. I would quite like a posh Garrosh skin, please. But
I was gonna say, can you say the exact same sentence in a brute, savage orc voice?
No, you stay at range, good sir. Good day to you. I said good day.
No, I mean, gentlemen Garrosh, let's make it happen. I'm fully endorsing that endeavor. I like it. But you brought up a really good point, Tetra, right?
For the society of the Horde.
The society?
The high society.
Well, that definitely sounds more Alliance now.
The high society?
Yep.
Hang on. Only the dwarves. Only the Griffin Rider dwarves. They're the only high society.
Not high in size, but high in society. Who knows?
Yeah, because they're on a mountain.
Exactly. But as you said,
yeah,
Tetra,
the hammer is so good.
Let me give you credit for what you said, goddammit.
No.
All those engaging tools, as you said, can be used as disengage, and then we have the Warlord's Challenge, right? The taunt. So you have an Yrel jumping in, you have a Muradin jumping in, boom, you're going to taunt them both and give Hammer a little bit of time to actually get away to safety. If she even needs that safety, right? Because she's a strong, independent sergeant woman. She can have those siege engines going and become unstoppable herself, basically.
So we're heading in. Let's see if they're going to be able to pull that off. As on the left-hand side, it is CE. Valufal on Hanzo. Wind on Garrosh. 365 on Deckard Kane. KTY on the Blaze. And Zhuyu bringing out the Sergeant Hammer.
And their opponents in the reds, we've got none other than the A-team. With Jaina on that Falstad. Olele is playing Phoenix. Bruiser on Yrel again. Stukov on that Alexstrasza. And Kaitu on the Muradin. And if you just saw what Bruiser was able to do on that Yrel in the previous game, looking mighty strong, looking really good, I'm already excited to see what they can do against the Sergeant Hammer, because so far, Tetra, I feel whenever Sergeant Hammer was picked in HGC China, especially by a quote-unquote favorite team like CE in a series, it looked pretty much unbeatable. Like the other teams, the opposing teams were almost clueless as to how to deal with it. So maybe A-team has something prepared onto how to deal with that.
Yeah, I think I just came up with like a strat the A-team could use to try and take out Hammer here. It's super weird in my brain, but they could, in theory, double Yrel, Muradin, dive Hammer, throw out the Stormbolt, try and force siege tactics. They don't even have to dive straight away. Maybe just Stormbolt it. Yeah, Kaichu taking the safer rotation route so that he does not get caught out at his gate. But just drop a Stormbolt, try and force out siege tactics, and maybe the knockback if you can with Yrel, for example. Then Gust while siege tactics is activated, and then dive Hammer. Force her to use her unstoppable early, and then try and blow her up.
I mean, that is definitely one of the ways to deal with Sergeant Hammer, right? You need to bait the siege engines early by, as you said, a Stormbolt maybe, by an Yrel slow, for example, so that the ultimate counters, like a Mighty Gust, like a Stitches hook yesterday, can actually connect. If you're just relying on a Stitches, for example, like we saw Team Nut yesterday do, it's not going to work because hook and siege engines have the exact same cooldown. So there should always be that counter available by the Sergeant Hammer, and even, you know, the most unexperienced Sergeant Hammer player will have figured it out by now.
Chunky Olele forcing him to back up. Still hits him with the Sonic Arrow on the way out as well. But what I'm suggesting here is actually use the Mighty Gust while Siege Tactics is actually active on purpose. So that instead of pushing Hammer away, you push everyone else away and then dive Hammer.
That could work as a sort of isolation move there. I like it.
Yeah. It's like Johanna against Falstad. A good play is to wait for Johanna to turn on Iron Skin when she's in your backline, and then Gust. So Johanna is still in your backline and dies because she's suddenly alone because her entire team got gusted away. It's a very old-fashioned strat, but it could still work. We'll see.
Speaking of things that die, Teacher, that top lane is getting absolutely demolished here from A-Team, or by A-Team, I should say. So they're basically trying to counter the hammer pressure by applying some pressure on the map themselves. And this is a pretty cute move here with that first shrine being located in the top lane as well. So if, and that's a big if I know, but if they were to get the first the first Punisher here, they basically wouldn't have had to face a defense line here because the towers are gone, the healing fountain is gone already, and that, especially in the longer, drawn-out fight, is already a big disadvantage for CE because they cannot fall back immediately in the top lane, heal themselves in the healing fountain, and come back then. They're going to have to take a long detour through the middle, for example.
But the hammer is already set up. In comes Kaito. And siege tactics not used. Instead, he unsieged. So now he's going to take all this CC.
Okay.
Zuyu boosts out using his boost engines here. Finally re-sieging, getting those Decade potions. But what is happening? 5 kills to now 9 immediately as the A-Team start using that superior wave clear. Falstad not even here for this. Finally going to fly in, but Blade also only just on the way.
Yeah, keep in mind, Alexstrasza hasn't had to use the Dragon Queen just yet. So they're definitely going to be patient on that one. Now Stukov, let's watch him on that Alexstrasza. When is he going to pull the trigger? Now he's going to do it and trying to save that Phoenix. Olele in trouble.
He teleports out though, but Hammer is in range, tries to blow up someone in the backline instead. Preferably the Alexstrasza turns to focus onto Bruiser, as he has been the one to die. Bruiser, this case, shall be the one to die. As Zuyu tags through, immediately boosts to follow up on Jaina. They're able to pick up the kill there, and Stukov, with that Dragon Queen ending, is not able to heal through all of that damage. And with Hover Siege online, Zuyu is now able to force everyone off of this point.
Tetra, you don't see that all day, every day, that a team decides to willingly power through an Alexstrasza Dragon Queen and also ends up winning that team fight. But I think too many targets at the same time were focused down by the A-Team, especially the frontline, Bruiser and Muradin there. They were in a lot of trouble before the Alexstrasza Dragon Queen could even pop and go live. So there were too many construction sites for her to work on at the same time. And even the mightiest of Dragon Queen cannot really get the job done like that. So as it is, CE with a pretty solid engage there. Really good early game momentum are now going to unlock this first Frozen Punisher.
And here comes the push, with Zuyu beginning to burn down this center gate as soon as possible. Immediately dropping some counter damage, some extra damage though, onto Kaito, who actually gets caught in the root, so Hammer continues the damage. Tossed by the Garrosh, and down goes Kaito. Nicely done, and that is the risk of a Frozen Punisher. Everyone's always on about that Arcane Punisher. Oh, it does so much damage. You can never underestimate the pure value of a little crowd control.
That is very true, especially if you can follow it up on with your own crowd control, right? So let's not forget, though, that the A-Team wasn't fully committing to this defense anyways. They had Falstad in the middle, they had Irel in the bottom. So they were trying to soak 2 lanes simultaneously while the remainder of the team was trying to take care of that Punisher to the best of their ability. They ended up losing Muradin, which is a little unfortunate, but nonetheless, you know, the gap in experience could have definitely been much higher, much bigger if they hadn't been having 2 heroes doing the soak-in duty. So for now, though, they need to stop that hammer. It's not going to be an easy thing to do here. Look at the zoning. Look at the protection by wind as well, trying to intercept any projectile, any ability that will be aimed towards the Sergeant Hammer. So he continues to fire the siege in the middle. Urael now and Phoenix. Can they get the blaze? Bruiser needs to be very careful, actually. He ends up falling to Hanzo and the tower damage.
But now Olele is also in danger. This could end up being a double kill. Charge does not stun, but Commander Cube lands, as does the Scroll of Sealing. But Alexstrasza in position. Olele runs out of the Abundance, though. Needs to be careful where he's standing.
Yeah, you could really see the whole power of the Emerald Cube there, denying the initial healing by Alexstrasza. The Abundance would have gone through if Olele had been a little more careful, though. But as it is, nothing happened, so it's all going to be fine for now. What we can say is going to be fine here is the middle lane of A-Team, because Zuyu has been pushing and sieging up like crazy without getting interrupted at all. Now level 10 is here, though, for Irel and the rest of her team.
As Wind takes a little bit of plasma cutter damage, but it's tanking through for the moment as Olele kites back and actually takes out the Hammer Mines pretty quickly. Siege Tactics online. Falstad tries to do a gust play, gets denied by the sleep. as the turnaround happens. Taunt into the scroll of ceiling. There's the toss onto Kaito, but he turns on the avatar to tank through, at least for the moment. Blaze dropping the flames onto Bruiser and Kaito as they pull back. Alufo coming in. Dragon Arrow!
Oh!
BFG just short of Falstad. That could have been a double kill, but they still were able to take down the Phoenix. Bruiser escapes over the wall. Kaito getting focused, gets a minion on his head for good measure, and they still get the double kill.
Just missing by an inch there, Zhuyu's BFG. I already saw the double kill happen right in front of my eyes, but it was so close there. Falstad living and surviving. Oh my goodness, that would have been an absolutely stellar play. But even as it is, the damage has been done, and CE is yet again in a commanding lead. They take down the middle forward as a consolation prize for missing the double kill.
Wow, that was so oh man, it would have been so hype if he'd hit it, but they still got 2 kills. It's still good. CE still with over a full level lead at this point.
Yeah.
About to hit their level 13s. They are looking great. So now we do see the next objective up in 8 seconds, and they are going to be in control. The A team, though, they are going to be on cleanup duty. There are minion waves to clear in every single lane. Mercenary capital top play,
Yeah.
which they do already have 3 people dealing with, so good reactions there.
Yeah, and if the A team decides not to fight over the shrine, I'm going to be very happy with their decision making, right? It's been the common theme of China that teams will show up at the objective every single time, and although they're level down or a talent tier down, they will just continue to fight recklessly, but not the A team this time around. They realize, you know what? We've got a Fallen Shaman camp pushing. We're just going to take towers, maybe even deal some damage on the top keep of CE here. So while they're busy occupying the temple, this is certainly a nice play to make. And look at that. The Immortal, the Punisher, sorry, it's going to be very slow, actually, BFG, to clean a little bit of that damage.
I mean, this is
do
very aggressive. Are they going to bring more people back, or are they just going to try a split push? Okay, looks like everyone's porting back except for Zhuyu. Win stays as well instead. They are going to lose that keep unless KTY. Oh, he gets interrupted on his thrusters. He's going to move in. The jet propulsion not happening. Keep will go down. Sleep wakes up Falstad. Dragon Queen already being used for the cleansing flame. And now a situation of everyone just needs to pull back safely and maybe kill a Luthor. Luthor just turns it up, but Bruiser reminds everyone of last game and is able to force back a Luthor, who's also able to survive. KTY chases everyone away. Bruiser comes back in for another round. And Zhuyu, while all this is happening, has just completely cleaned up the spot lane as well. So this turns out to be a keep for a keep. Now it's a question of if the A-team can get out. It looks like they finally will, with Bruiser able to escape over the wall.
Admirable job, actually, by CE to defend this 3 versus 5 for the most part without losing any team members. Because let's see what could have happened if they had lost team members there, Tetra. If, let's say, Hanzo had fallen there for a moment, if, let's say, another member had fallen in consequence, that could have actually been a core call by the A-team, right? So with them playing it very well, though, despite 2 people down, CE that is, they're actually staying in the game. But still, a great move by the A-team if you consider how far they were behind, right? They trade a keep for a keep, which is definitely a good trade, once again, considering how far they are behind.
But CE are now regrouped up again. There's catapults starting to accumulate in the top lane, whereas Falstad is actually cleaning up the bottom lane, preventing catapults accumulating there, at least for the moment. So CE are going to be the ones pressured. But they're trying to burn some time by actually accumulating a fair amount of pressure onto this mid lane with this double Impaler camp.
Yeah.
Sergeant Hammer, of course, with that hover siege just burning through both the tower lines here and even dropping a little bit of damage onto the heroes. But someone does need to go back, so there's about to be a 3rd catapult in that top lane, and that will do core damage. But Gust, preventing this from happening. Salvo, with that slow, bunker blocks the majority of the damage as Wind tosses in Kaito, who immediately drops the avatar, gets taunted though. Can they burn him down? There's the sleep, good sleep, BFG, cleansing flame though, keeping them alive, at least for the moment, and Bruiser escapes. But Jada, he gets away. Can they finish him off? Yes, they can. With the jump over the wall, Luful drops super low, but he does survive. And they pick up the kill. Bruiser dives deep. Where's the Avenging Wrath? It's already been used. He goes down. And a clutch Gust play denied by the boy and the sleep. And now CE are moving for a 2nd core as KTY realizes I should probably save my core.
Yeah, KTY realized that, you know, 2 or 3 catapults knocking on the core could become quite dangerous and scary. So he basically pulls the emergency brake there, goes back to base, and takes care of that business here. But once again, this aggressiveness this aggressive play by Irel, by Bruiser, really cost them a lot of their defensive momentum here. They actually had them on lock. They had them, you know, maybe even retreat after taking so much damage in that previous team fight, but then came Bruiser. Wait, Jaina's doing it again? What? Wait a minute.
He's come back in. There's no salvo this time, though. Muradin attacking through. No avatar this time, though. No blaze. They tried to make the 5 versus 4 happen, but it did not work. And now here comes the Dragon Arrow. Good teleport, keeping him alive. Alufal gets dropped, but not as quick as Falstad. And Alufal made it into the tin can, into that bunker to keep himself alive. Jaina also escaping, though. Wow. Gets the armor from Yrel, and everyone survives except for Muradin. But now with 2 keeps down and 4 catapults in this bottom lane, which are now having their way cleared beautifully by CE. That's probably going to be game as the shield drops down.
4 catapults have united and formed themselves up here to siege up that core next to Zhuyi on that Sergeant Hammer, of course. A last effort Cleansing Flame trying to keep the enemy team at bay, but CE has hammered down the core to 50 to 40%, and I think they're going to take this. The Ardent Defenders just delaying the inevitable. Gust is saving the core for now, but it didn't hit on Zhuyi.
Jaina's taking a lot of damage, finally down. Bruiser, last-ditch effort, gets tossed into the oil, and that is game. Game number 2 and the series taken by CE. They take the full 3 points.
3 points, and they will be very happy about those 3 points. If you remember the overall rankings, ladies and gentlemen, there was only 1 point difference between CE sitting at 3rd and Beyond the Game sitting at 4th. So depending on how the Beyond the Game squad is going to play today, CE might actually be able to stabilize there and get some distance between themselves and their pursuers. And mind you, Tetcher, Beyond the Game, they're going to have to face the 1 today, which is going to be quite the opposite of easy to take.
It's an excellent point. The 1 is an absolutely terrifying team to play against right now. The A team have to play against them. BTG will actually have to play against them as well. That's not going to be fun. CE, though, they are done for the day. Like you said, they have